Good afternoon. The August 27th meeting, the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust will be in order, and the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the August 13th meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Are there questions, comments, additions, corrections? Hearing none, voting please. Minutes are approved. Next item is a consent docket.
Move it subject to individual considerations.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent docket. Are there items to be discussed or separately?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question on item 3B. This is a project in Martin Nature Center, and I just want to ask that Councilman Greiner and myself be appraised of when it's going to start, how long it's going to take, and that sort of thing, because there's going to be significant interest.
Yes, sir. We will make certain that you are. We're also preparing signs for the Nature Center and information for the Nature Center that lets folks know, even though we think it will be off and outside the area that people normally reach at Martin Nature Park, and not as disruptive as it could be in other areas. We will be letting you know, letting the people who are visiting there know, so that there's it's a very important cultural resource for us, natural and cultural resource.
Any other comments or questions on item 3A through E? Hearing none, voting please. Consent docket's approved. Next item is the concurrence docket.
I'd move the concurrence docket subject to individual consideration.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the concurrence docket. Are there matters that need to be considered individually? Hearing none, voting please. Concurrence docket's approved. Next item, item 4, items for individual consideration. The first one is a resolution concerning some restoration work at Draper.
Mr. Chairman and trustees, if I may provide just a little bit of background. We, in the early 2000s, did a substantial amount of restoration work at Lake Draper that improved the water quality to the north end of the basin. A couple of reasons for that. We relocated some recreational activities that tore up turf, and we removed roadways immediately adjacent to the lake water's edge, replacing those with roads that run generally down each of the points, what we call points of land into the lake, with some form of asphalt pavement. Helped a great deal, made accessibility better for parking generally, and gave you turnarounds. It, again, doesn't let you drive at the lake's edge very much. Well, staff believes it's time to attempt to restart that work toward particularly moving around the east side of the lake, and today are presenting the first piece of that action, which will require that we return with more information, of course, as we try to implement the rest of the work. There's a map attached to your documents that shows you, I've mentioned the east locations, but there are also 5 locations on the west side of the lake. It's it will be a long-term effort for us. Again, we're trying to move back to a constancy of water quality improvement.
I daily think about what a great asset from a outdoor and wilderness standpoint Draper is, and it just as you know, we've had a number of discussions about the ways that we can improve the situation and make people realize it's not crowded like some of the other lakes in the city are, and it has all kinds of opportunities, hiking, fishing, skiing, all kinds. So I'm glad we're getting to work on it. Are there plans to do something about the North Draper Drive. And today we had a run, and I asked the guy, and the manager reminded me that was a Brent Reinhardt idea to move across there. And as bad as I complained about the road today, I'm glad it's there, because I remember what was there before. Councilman Reinhardt insisted that it be changed, and I'm glad it's there. But it certainly would be nice if it could be brought up to the standard for the road that runs around the rest of the lake. I think that would enhance lake access a great deal.
Mr. Samandi has a young engineer working on that project for us. I know that you've seen some surveying work underway out there. We're defining boundaries of projects to look at costs. Also, you and I have discussed that there's a steep hill in a part of that road, and we want to look at whether there's anything that can be done affordably to ameliorate that very steep hill in some way. So we are just in the beginning parts of collecting information to work on the road. And probably in the next couple of meetings, we'll bring you some plans for additional general roadway work that goes both with our points and the perimeter roads around the lake.
One of the comments I have in that regard is there is a difference between the North Draper Drive and all the rest of it. There's a difference.
Oh, yeah.
The North Drive is much more, not only is the road primitive, but the surroundings are. They're much more natural. I mean, they're very, it's not mowed back 20 feet from the curb line, and you see a lot more wildlife in there. There ought to be some way to compromise and not, you can still improve the road, but you wouldn't destroy that, because it's a pretty unique drive, that stretch across the north side there. All right. We have a motion on the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the resolution of 5A. Further comments? Voting, please. 5A is approved. Next item is entered to executive session, and I understand we do not need executive session.
Move to strike.
Second.
Motion and a second to strike item 5B. Voting, please. Matter is stricken. Next matter is items from trustees. Anyone
Nope.
comment?
Mr. Chairman, just a comment. The city manager introduced a paper today at the end of our meeting discussing variances in the watering regulation. I think that was a great idea because there are some situations that were difficult to deal with based on existing systems and whatnot. And I just think we need to make a real effort to make that the public knowledgeable of the fact there are ways to get a variance in that.
Yes, sir. We will so do. We attempted a soft rollout to get our boots on the ground with how to do the work, realizing that there may be 10,000 customers who are interested in variances of different kinds, and wanting to get familiar with a few before we went to the full extent we might. A couple of things. It was interesting that immediately when the variance procedure was published in the Journal Record, we got 50 or 60 calls. So there is an interest in it, and just putting it in the Journal Record was significant. Again, we're working through things and getting messages ready to go.
Thank you.
We've had the trial period.
Did we grant most of the variances that were asked for?
We do. The goal is to get at least a 10% reduction in water use. And I heard the city manager say this morning that, and I think that's true in my neighborhood as well, that folks are learning how to use how to set their sprinklers. And
there is a controller available on the market that will work on odd and even days.
there are.
And it reads it from the calendar inside the thing rather than trying to keep a
Yes, there are.
track of it. So it's very expensive, but I have one.
I'm just as nervous as any other person is, I'll bet, about making certain that sprinkler is set correctly. It's important and hard.
Well, it really isn't. I mean, I really had no idea how to change a day on my sprinkler because I never did it before. And my gosh, it takes literally less each week to change it from Tuesdays to Wednesdays, it takes about 15 seconds to do it. It really is a very simple thing to do.
Any other comments? Next item then be city manager reports. First thing.
So
Okay, thank you.
we do.
It's very gratifying to see that Draper is 11 and a half feet fuller than it was last year at this point in time. That's good. I assume that as you fill it up, it gets wider, and so it isn't going to fill up elevation-wise quite as quickly from this point forward because of the broader area. But it's still.
How long has it been since it's been full?
Just prior to the start of the Atoka Pump Station improvements, which I think was early 2010, maybe late 2009.
It certainly now looks to be what it's averaged over the last several years. I mean, it's back to where.
Yes, we're very pleased. There are 6 lakes in the southwestern part of the state. Moving on to the reports of 6 lakes, the western part of the state that are quite a bit lower than normal, like Canton, Altus, Luger. I'm not going to remember any of the other names, I suspect, that are in that same range with Lake Canton at 20% to 25% and under. So you still see the impact of the drought in the far west, particularly the southwest, but generally, of course, here things are much better in terms of lakes. Lakes Oberholzer and Hefner are about as full as they can be, which is just so remarkable for this time of year. Lake Draper's in much better shape. The southeast lakes, McGee Creek is about a half a foot from the flood pool, and Atoka is down about 2.5 feet. So all in all, again, for the end of the summer, we are preparing, of course, for a month of warmer than normal weather through about the 20th of August, I think. Today, this daily pumpage is 127 million gallons a day, not nearly as much as we were doing this time last year. We pumped about 7 billion gallons of water in July and so far in August. That contrasts with 10 billion gallons this time last year. So to give you an idea, it's a remarkable change. Income is obviously we're making less, selling less water this year than last year, but income is fine. It's still exceeding our forecasts. So we're feeling pretty good about that overall. Also gaining a good number of customers, not the highest ever, but a very comfortable rate of new customers. We have a report on the Lake Stanley Draper view sheds. A goal that we've had for a long time to create a view of Lake Stanley Draper. What I'm recommending to the trust is that we have very little information really about the true cost of doing this work. It's not something moving dirt and taking out trees. It's not our bread and butter works. What I'd like to do is proceed with looking at 1 or 2 of the view sheds for a better look to see whether there are opportunities to either provide a longer duration of time and a lower or a lower cost for the product. I think there's a great deal of enjoyment you get out of driving down the road and seeing a lake. I can't put a dollar factor on that for you, but I would like to get a little better information than what we have in a broad rule of thumb.
I'm not sure we couldn't get better bids than we got also.
Understood. I think we need to scope that out a little bit.
I mean,
better.
I've had private land cleared for a whole lot less than $4,000 or $5,000 an acre. I can tell you, a whole lot less than that. So there ought to be a way to tap into that.
Although that is pretty thick in there.
What?
It is pretty thick in there.
Yeah. No, I realize that.
Agreed, and if it could be combined with follow a controlled burn, we may be able to do something more affordably. We're trying to pursue those options.
Yeah, I would think one of the ways to save money would let them stack it and burn it on site. I mean, we know we can do it. I mean, in terms of the safety side of it. So, okay.
And then finally, we bring you a report about service line warranties. Service line warranties have become available in the last 7 or 8 years, to the best of my knowledge. Something that we run into with customers periodically is that as a homeowner, you may or may not realize that the pipe that connects between your house and the street for the water line and your house and probably the backyard, where there might be a sewer manhole, are yours to operate and maintain. I think it's infrastructure that's out of sight and perhaps not something everyone is aware of. As a part of that process, and I think development of other kinds of homeowner warranties, eventually service line warranties, again, those water and sewer pipeline warranties were developed as a business line. We've been approached by a couple of companies related to a creation of an agreement with Oklahoma City. Staff typically, when we receive a proposal that's not solicited, not part of our business plan today, brings those to you for advice and consideration. In this case, our next step, should you wish to pursue this business line or an agreement to implement such a program in Oklahoma City, certainly some business models exist for doing that independent of you. Others may have different relationships. This would be what we would propose is that we develop a request for proposals and evaluate the various business models that are available, bring you a recommendation based on that information. We are, of course, first looking for your feedback about that.
I'm concerned a little bit about using our name and our process out there for third-party vendors. All of a sudden you start adding things on it, and you get a $60 water bill that becomes a $120 water bill, or maybe not that high. But we have added the ambulance fee to it within the last few years, and as city manager, I think that was really a good deal because it solved a big problem for us. But I do believe that you're bringing a non-water-related entity to that. It just brings confusion to the bill. I mean, all of our line items are different. It's the sewers billed one way, and you got to learn about winter-based rates, and the water bill is metered, and then the solid waste is out there, and then we've got to explain the stormwater bill that's out there, and then a totally different thing with the ambulance fee. Our bills can become complicated, but I think more problematic than that is the ability for this to open the door to other third-party beneficiaries out there. I don't have a problem with them operating this service in Oklahoma City and providing this service. They can provide it independently and bill for it independently. If we open this door to outside folks, because the ambulance, although not directly related to water, was a city function. It was something that was important to us. What's next on outside? And yes, this is tangentially related because it has to do with a water or sewer warranty issue. I don't know. I see your report. I thought it was a very thorough report. It talked about the pros and cons and talks about what other cities are doing, so I thought that was helpful. But I do have some apprehension in general.
Yeah, I think the concept's a good idea, but I think it ought to be independent. If they want to solicit customers, they want to have a program in place, that's up to the private insurance companies. I don't think the city ought to get involved as being a vehicle for this thing.
I agree. Any other comments on that?
Thank you very much. I think I'm
Speak.
Need to read the city's reports?
I have a citizen to be heard. Oh, we do. Okay. Have a motion to receive the report and a second, and it's received. We have someone who's signed up to speak. Oscar.
And it's on the 8C.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Okay.
But that's
It's about that. All right, I'm sorry. That's what you were trying to.
Quite all right. Thank you very much, and I wanted to thank the Oklahoma City Water Utility Trust for letting me present this afternoon. I'm with Utility Service Partners, and we have been selected and have partnered with the National League of Cities to administer the program based on our long history of working with municipalities and existing partnerships with multiple state leagues, such as the Oklahoma Municipal League, as well as our accredited AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. Due to the nationwide success of this program, with over 175 municipalities participating in our program, the National League of Cities has extended administration of our program for an additional 5 years. Perhaps above else, this program provides awareness to the homeowners' service line responsibilities, as well as an innovative and optional solution to protect themselves from costly repairs. Lateral water and sewer line backups and breaks are not covered by homeowners' insurance in Oklahoma currently. And without a warranty, a homeowner may have to endure that hardship of paying out of pocket expenses up to $3,500 to $4,000 per occurrence. Current municipalities that are participating in our program are municipalities like Guthrie, Lawton, Moore, Stillwater. From a national perspective, we have municipalities like Phoenix, Kansas City, San Diego, Las Vegas, Atlanta, and numerous other municipalities participating with this program. For example, in Lawton, Oklahoma, they've been in the program the longest here in Oklahoma, and homeowners have saved over $300,000 on sewer and lateral line repairs in just 2 years. City-based contractors perform the work, and participating homeowners receive these repairs at no additional cost. This money now stays in the homeowner's pocket and in the city-based businesses. If the Water Trust Utility is considering a program similar to the National League of Cities Service Line Warranty Program, we would love to be able to work with you. If a procurement process needs to be followed, we want to be able to point out that there's a master contract already in place with the North Central Texas Council of Governments, NETCOG, and a formal RFQ was put together with municipalities of Plano, Arlington, Forney, and Crandall that were on the selection committee. The NLC program, powered by Utility Service Partners, was selected by the North Central Texas Council of Governments as the winner of the RFQ. And any city in Oklahoma can piggyback on this agreement and directly participate in this program. Again, I want to thank you very much for your time. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them at this point in time.
Do the programs in the other cities that you mentioned, are the water customers billed through the water system, or are they billed directly by your company?
We bill them directly.
Okay, so it wouldn't entail dealing with our water bill process.
Correct. And understand the concern. What we do is separate where mailing address, web address, and phone numbers for 800 number service, those are directly pointed back to us as a company.
Well, to me, I mean, it sounds like a good service to me. If we don't have to worry about the complications, then I don't know what we need to do to explore it further, but.
How would the marketing be handled? Would you rely on the city to put an insert in their billing kind of thing, or how would you handle that?
What we do is we work proactively with a municipality, proactively in the sense of when we put the letter together, we offer that to the city to give final approval, but we bear the cost of mailing it to your homeowners. We don't ask the municipality for a homeowner list. We go out to 1 to 2 different outside sources and acquire those homeowner lists. Ideally, what we want to do is make it as easy as possible to implement the program. making the burden as less as for the municipality.
So in your marketing plan, in your paying plan, do you involve the city at all?
We do. We do.
Now, how's that involvement work?
What we do is we'll work with the city on the front end. For example, like doing a press release. Depending on the municipality, we'll have a utility director, we'll have the mayor, we can have the city manager have a press release announcing the program. We have many municipalities that do that. Before we do the actual mailing, a lot of municipalities, what they'll do, in fact, is also pre-announce the program to let the customers know, their homeowners know, that here's a program that's being powered by the National League of Cities that's offering them an optional program to protect their water and lateral sewer lines. Again, it's optional. So we work with municipalities on that end. And then also with the letter that's delivered out to the homeowners.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
That concludes the agenda. We're adjourned.